You know, your 40s are kind of a weird decade, aren't they? You're not a rookie anymore, but retirement, well, that still feels like it's a million miles away. But here's the thing. This decade is a critical financial window. And the decisions you make, or maybe more importantly, the ones you don't make, they have these huge echoing consequences. So let's just dive right into it, because what you do in these next 10 years can totally rewrite the rest of your financial story.
So let me tell you a story about a guy we'll call Dave. Dave's 43, he's making good money, he's got a family, a house. I mean, from the outside, he's checked all the boxes. But one night, he logs into his 401k, and it's like a punch straight to the gut. The number staring back at him, it's just shockingly low. And I'm telling you, this isn't some rare horror story. It is a painfully real moment for millions and millions of people.
All right, so where should you actually be? The experts over at Fidelity, they have a pretty clear benchmark. By the time you hit 40, you should have 3 times your annual salary saved up. 3 times. But what's the reality for most people? Well, data from the Federal Reserve shows that the median, that's the middle of the road number, for people 35 to 44 is only about $60,000. That's not just a gap. For a lot of folks, that's a chasm.
Okay, so why all the fuss about this specific decade? I mean, why is it so important? It really just comes down to the brutal, unforgiving math of compound interest. Your 40s? This is pretty much the last decade where time is really, truly on your side. After this, the hill you have to climb to reach your goals gets exponentially steeper.
And this chart, wow, this really spells out the cost of waiting. Look at this. If you want to hit $1 million by age 65 and you start at 25, you need to put away about $380 a month. Not too bad. But if you wait until you're 40, that number jumps to over $1,200 a month. You're trying to get to the exact same place, but it is a massively different and much harder journey.
And there it is. That's the penalty. $853. That's the extra fee you have to pay every single month, just for starting 15 years later. It's not a one-time thing. It's a constant financial headwind you have to fight against for the rest of your working life. See, delaying isn't passive. It's an active and very expensive choice.
Let's go back to Dave for a second. If he just keeps doing what he's doing, he's going to retire with about $190,000. Okay, what does that mean? Well, that generates maybe $7,600 a year in income. You add in Social Security, and he's looking at a grand total of about $31,000 a year. The problem? The average retiree spends over $61,000 a year. His retirement isn't a life of leisure, it's an unsolvable math problem.
So how did this happen? How do so many smart, hardworking people end up in Dave's shoes? You know, it's not always just a story of personal failure. This generation is dealing with a totally unique set of financial headwinds, from student loans that just won't die to the rising cost of, well, everything.
For starters, let's talk about credit cards. People in their 40s carry the highest average credit card balance of any age group. It's around $9,100. And that high-interest debt, it just acts like a giant anchor, dragging down any real attempt to get ahead.
And then you've got the car payment. The average monthly payment for a new car has soared past $700. For a lot of families, you've got 2 of those. That's over $1,400 a month flowing out the door to an asset that is literally losing value every single day you own it.
And honestly, here's maybe the most sobering number of all. 36% of non-retirees in the U.S. have 0 retirement savings. Not a little, 0, nothing. The account doesn't even exist. This isn't just an individual problem anymore, it's a systemic one.
Okay, so that was the bad news. A lot of it. But here's the good news. It is not too late. It's not. But you have to start treating this decade like a project, a focused, intentional, decade-long project to seize control. So let's break that project down into a clear, actionable plan. Here's your project plan, and the order is crucial. First, you have to stop the bleeding. That means getting aggressive and wiping out your high-interest debt. Second, you build your fortress. You put the essential protections in place for you and your family. And then third, once that foundation is secure, you go all in on maximizing your retirement savings. And your debt hit list is absolutely non-negotiable. Credit card debt with interest rates sometimes over 22%, that's a 5-alarm financial fire. Paying that off is like getting a guaranteed 22% return on your money. You can't beat that in any investment anywhere. After that, you attack the car loans, and then finally, you put a firm end date on those student loans that have been hanging around forever.
Now, step 2, building your foundation. This is the boring stuff that nobody wants to think about, but it is so critical. A shocking 64% of parents with young kids don't have a will. Do you know what that means? It means if something awful happens, a court gets to decide who raises their children.
Getting a basic estate plan in place isn't optional. It's a non-negotiable part of being a grown-up in this decade.
Life insurance is another huge piece of that foundation. And here's why you have to do it now. The cost for the exact same $500,000 policy can literally double or even triple between age 40 and 50. In fact, for every single year you wait, the premiums go up about 8 to 10%. The window to get cheap, easy-to-get insurance is wide open right now, but it is closing.
Oh man, this is a huge trap for parents in their 40s. Of course you want to help your kids with college, but you cannot, I repeat, cannot do it at the expense of your own retirement. The rule is simple, and it is absolute. You can borrow money for an education. You cannot borrow money for retirement. Fund your future first. Sacrificing your own security doesn't actually help your kids in the long run. It just risks making you a financial burden on them down the road.
Okay, now let's talk about maximizing savings. There is a powerful tool waiting for you right around the corner. It's called the catch-up contribution. The moment you turn 50, the IRS lets you shovel an extra $7,500 a year into your 401k. If you plan for that now and you max it out every year, that extra contribution alone can add over $700,000 to your nest egg. That is a game changer.
So, at the end of the day, it all boils down to a choice. The path you've been on, or a new one, a more intentional one. The story of your financial future, it isn't written in stone yet. These next few years, this is where you pick up the pen.
And that brings us right back to Dave and his two possible paths. Dave number one, the guy who just kept drifting along. He retires with an income that creates constant daily stress. But Dave number two, he's the one who ran the numbers at 43. He followed the plan, he killed his debt, he automated his savings, and he retires at 67 with nearly $1 million and, more importantly, with options and peace of mind. It's the same person, same income, just a different set of choices in one critical decade. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. Your 40s are not a crisis. They're an opportunity. This is the decade where small, consistent, and sometimes uncomfortable decisions create a radically different future. The math is clear. The plan is straightforward. The only question left is, which future are you going to build?